correcting these essays for you today. Happy to see that you signed up for an essay correction pack. So let's see what you wrote here. Just in the future, it's really helpful if you can also just copy and paste the image into your answer, because a lot of times in my corrections I refer to the image. So just try to do that the next time you send us something, okay? Let's see what you wrote here. This is the one about bird flu. So here's what you said. The bar charts, well, actually it's not bars, it's we call this a bar chart. It's just one chart. If it had two separate charts, then it would have been the bar charts, but this needs to be singular. So the bar chart shows the number of bird flu casualties worldwide from 1990 to 2000 using data from the World Health Organization. Fine. During 1990 and 1991, the number of bird flu casualties was around 120,000. Then a slight growth to 132,000 casualties occurred in the next year, remaining stable in 1993 and was followed by a constant increasing number of deaths in the next 3 years, finishing in 1996 with 150,000. After that, in 1997, there was a jump to 175,000, where it stayed constant with a small fluctuation of around 2,000 deaths during 1998, 1999, and 2000. As can be seen from the bar chart, it is clear that the number of bird flu casualties around the world increased approximately 60% in less than 10 years, reaching a peak in 1997. Certainly there is a maintained level. There was, because it's all in the past. There was a maintained level during the last 4 years, breaking the increasing trend of the previous years. Okay, I like this quite a bit. Let's see here. Let me just check your words. Yeah, you were 149 words. This one is tricky to kind of get above 150. I thought your language was lovely. I thought you covered everything. Like I said, if I had the image, I can probably find the image really easily, actually. But I'm trying to see where you could have possibly extended, or where there could have been maybe a little more detail. Okay, if I had to maybe add a little more detail, you talked about a constant increasing number of deaths in the next 3 years. You could have been a little more specific. Okay, I don't dislike what you wrote, but like I said, you don't really have a ton of information here. You only have about, 11 years to talk about. So you could have been a little more specific. Okay, you could have maybe talked about the rate of increase. Like, did it increase, by 10,000 every year? So you could have possibly given us a little more information. And then here too, you said there was a small fluctuation of around 1,000 deaths. Well, when was that fluctuation? Was it in 1998, 1999, or 2000? So that was maybe a little information that you could have given us as well. Just to have been a little more specific. I thought it was 1999. It was definitely like high, and then it goes down a little bit, and then it rises again. I guess you could call that fluctuation. I mean, it's just a little minor dip in those numbers. So you could have just told us when that was, rather than kind of leaving us guessing. Like I said, just because you don't really have a ton of information here. So it's important to extend and, maybe say a few extra things that in a chart with tons of data, you wouldn't be able to say. Okay, but I really liked this. I thought this was very interesting, and this was good as well. You didn't get into a lot of data, but that's good. You're not supposed to with an overview. So I thought you did a very nice job. You could see there I corrected almost nothing with your grammar. You did a great job there as well, and a nice variety of really natural sounding vocabulary words. So well done all across the board. Okay, let's take a look now at your task 2, which is about staying in the same job for your entire career. Let's see what you wrote there. To stay in the same role during your career is something that, for a part of the population, is the correct decision. The main reason they argue this is because experienced workers are more productive. They know their job position, the venue, and the organization. They find it easier to move up the ladder into their companies, to stay on course, and to communicate with their mates and bosses. Okay, Again, the language here is absolutely lovely. It's really, really natural. So all of that is wonderful. I don't think that you needed to get into so much detail though into your introduction. Okay. An introduction needs to have a couple of key components. The first thing that needs to have essentially is a rephrasing of the task that you've been given. All right. You more or less did that, but you pretty much just stayed on that one side, that staying in the same role is really important. Okay. What you should have done is you should have added that there is an opposing viewpoint as well. Okay. And that there's some sort of debate about this issue. And you should have actually introduced that element as well, because this does feel really rather one-sided. Okay. And then the third thing that you needed to do, which you really didn't, was you needed to answer this question. If you look at the band descriptors under band 7 for task response, it says that your position should be clear throughout the essay. Your position is whatever the answer to this is. So for it to be clear throughout, that means from the beginning to the end. So essentially, you want to address it. You want to make it straightforward in your introduction what your position is. Okay, so it was lovely in terms of language, but in terms of the components and of the elements that a good introduction needs to have, this needed just a little bit of work, okay? All right, let's move on. Okay, for others, young ones the most, changing jobs is a must. Okay. Now, what I want to tell you here is that this isn't really an appropriate way to begin a paragraph. You need to start with a topic sentence, which is essentially an introduction to your paragraph. Okay, let me read the paragraph and then I'll make some sort of a suggestion about what I think could be a better introduction here. So for others, young ones the most, changing jobs is a must. Widespread unemployment, the 21st century and globalization has made it so that you can apply for a job on the other side of the world and have a challenging experience at least once in their life. In the big cities, it is very common to find people from so many countries looking for a temporary or permanent change in their professional careers to make a living, to master new skills, to be more proficient in a different language, and to explore new roles. All right, this felt a little bit like a list, especially that last sentence. All right. Again, there was absolutely nothing wrong with your grammar or the vocabulary, but structurally, this doesn't really follow what a properly written paragraph needs to have. A paragraph for academic essays needs to have a topic sentence where you basically introduce what you're talking about. Here, it's the fact that some people find switching jobs to be very important. Then you need to have one reason why switching jobs is a good idea, why it's important. And then you need to go into some detail. You need to support that. Okay? Then you need to provide either more support about that, or you can present another reason why switching jobs is important. Okay, and why it's beneficial to one's career. And then again, you have to support that as well. Typically what we do is we then wrap up everything with a summary statement, which essentially is something of a rephrasing of this first sentence. Okay, so while your language level is very high, we need to work a little bit on the structure of your paragraphs in order for them to be, for them to receive a good score. All right, let's go on to the next paragraph. Young people find it interesting and something challenging to switch jobs because of the opportunity of having a job in other countries and learning from different cultures. Meanwhile, older people defend having only one job in their whole life due to having more stability and work in an easier way. All right, now the problem with this is that it's not really a full paragraph. It's just 2 sentences, and there is no central idea. One of the things that examiners are going to look at in your paragraphs is to see if you have one central idea. Okay, so that central idea could be switching jobs is important. Okay, and then the other central idea could be staying in the same job for an entire lifetime has many benefits. Okay, here it was neither. I mean, you had opposite sides, so this didn't really create a full paragraph. Okay. In my opinion, people have to try at least once in their lives to take action and work in a different place or role to grow up as a professional. Well, not to grow up, to grow. Okay, because to grow up is what children do. To grow as a professional and as a person. Then you can realize what you really need to be happy working and developing yourself as a worker. All right, that's fine. So I'm very happy with your language level. Your language is, your writing is very natural. It flows really nicely. There was no sort of incoherence anywhere at any point during this essay. But as I said, it definitely needs work in order to have the proper structure. Essentially, what we're talking about is test taking skills. And that's something that fortunately can be learned really rather easily and rather quickly. So what I want to advise you to do, Alejandro, is to sign up for the online course so that you can learn some of these details of writing. Okay, because like I said, your grammar and your vocabulary are already at a high level, so you won't really have a problem with this. But it's getting the proper structure, getting a template, getting the right organization for your writing so that you can really do well in those other two criteria, task response and coherence and cohesion. All right, so take a look and see which option for working with us suits you best. You know, we're happy to help with any questions that you might have, so please let us know. And I look forward to seeing more of your writing in the future. Good luck.